Welcome to Vanishing Gates. I am Jay, and I'm joined by.
The serious Jack.
Katie Cat?
Anyway, how are you guys?
Well, it's been a long time.
Well, it's been a
Yeah,
long time
it's
since we
been a-
sat down
it's
here in the
been a minute.
studio.
It's been a while.
It's been a while
Yeah.
since we recorded that episode.
Just twinning the shirts going
Yeah.
again.
Yeah,
We're
randomly,
just all
same
wearing
thing.
the same thing.
Fast forward
again.
2 weeks later. I mean,
Yeah.
not 5 minutes after the last recording. No, we're just trying to make up for lost time because we did have a little sabbatical there. So tonight we're going to talk again about Mel's Hole. Mel's other hole.
Let's get down this rabbit hole and see where it goes.
There's no way we're taking this as serious as I want to with that title. I did that to myself.
It's just so difficult.
So, we're talking about like the whole situation with Mel Waters here. He's called once again to Coast AM. We left off partway through Mel's fourth call out of 5 to Coast, and Art had started to ask about the possibility of parallel universes, maybe colliding. Do with the Dimes and the Magic Walther.
Does he hang out with Joe Rogan and do a lot of DMT?
No, he passed away sadly some years ago. Art.
Wow, that feels like I was a dick.
Yeah,
No.
you were. Anyway, beloved Art Bell gets lampooned by Jack on the show. Okay.
My bad.
Mel goes on now that he reports that he has had reports from trucker friends that he delivered a huge amount of fiber optic cables to a warehouse in Ellensburg. And all the people at the office that he delivered to were oddly enough Israelis, which do with that as you will. It's a lot of fiber optic cable. And another truck had also delivered a large amount of equipment and scientific instruments to the same warehouse in Ellensburg. So those two things are only odd because of the circumstances surrounding Mel's Hole and the huge government presence, if you ask me.
That is weird.
And I think that's what he was alluding to. Why Israelis mattered in this, I don't know. But we did mention that.
He's not going to say it, is he?
No, but he did mention, that we did mention the whole thing about the military base being the training facility.
Well,
and
it's here's the thing though. Here's the thing that I'm curious about this, right? There's very strict rules about the military being active on civilian land. There's a reason they have the forts
strict as
are
you think.
the forts are individual. You cannot have MPs going out unless it's to retrieve military. The MPs don't go out to deal with civilians.
No.
So unless something is considered military land or owned by specifically by the government and the MPs work there, they can't just like if you're outside of an army base and fucking around, an MP can do something because you're still within their
Yeah.
radius. Because you could be considered endangered or something like that, they have to neutralize. But if you're in a town like a mile away and you see MPs, they're no threat to you because they can't do anything unless there's self-defense, obviously. But they can't do stuff. So if he's seeing military personnel in that area, it's either they're doing some kind of a transfer, or it's owned by or ran by a military
If
presence.
the military feels, the government feels something on your land is something that can be used for national security or a threat to, they're going to take your land, whether
But
you
they
want
don't
them to or
use the
not.
military to do it.
Yes, they do.
They cannot use the military.
Yes,
to
they
do it.
can.
The military cannot take action against the
That
total
is not
population.
true.
It's not allowed to be active.
That is not true.
National Guard can.
That is, yes, you're not.
Federal forces can.
The military can absolutely.
The military
be
is
used.
not allowed to mobilize inside the United States
That
against
is
civilians.
well, no, not in a violent
That's
conflict.
a constitutional thing.
With an act of Congress, they can. It's called martial law. But they can, in a
Okay,
smaller
yeah,
case,
but I mean-
absolutely go to property. If they feel like it's a national security threat, they can be involved. This mythology that you can just go and fuck with a soldier is wrong. So anyway, back to this. We weren't talking about military, though. We were talking about Israelis. Not even soldiers, just random Israelis in a warehouse. I was bringing up the fact that it is next to this base that we just talked about having part of that worldwide net of trying to focus on what's going on, counterintelligence and whatnot.
Well, I mean that's not weird at all. I mean the military does have to keep
Really
an
not
eye
that
on
weird.
things. And
Yeah. So it's not weird on its own, but being that Mel's Hole is right there, it's kind of strange they're shoving so much fiber optic cable near Mel's Hole. Anyway,
His whole
that's
fiber
my
optic
joke. Okay, I'm going to move on to be more serious. It
But it-
continued.
Jeez.
Well, when you consider the fact that when you actually look at the satellite image, which we showed in the last episode,
Uh-huh.
it's out in the middle of buttfuck nowhere. Pardon my language. It's out in the middle of nowhere, basically.
Yeah.
So having fiber optic cable run out there, like, where's it going to?
Well, at this time also, The internet's booming, so who knows? They could just be running fiber optic cable.
That's true, but you're talking about the '90s. Fiber optics weren't huge
No,
until
this
the
is
late
after 2000.
Oh, it's after 2000. It wasn't, but fiber optic hasn't even been huge for like the past 10 years.
Okay, but if you're running it for the actual places and for government facilities, yes, it is.
Yeah,
They've
but
been using it for
that's what I'm
a while.
saying is only like major cities is fiber. Like even out here, getting fiber
Okay,
optics.
but
is
you're also
horribly
talking about a
difficult.
place that's right by a military installation that has to do with national world security.
Yeah, but how far is it away from Mel's Hole?
Well, it's not. It touches up with Mel's Hole's property.
Oh, it's right there.
Yeah.
Oh well, then that just makes sense. I don't understand. Like,
But
yeah,
Ellensburg doesn't, but that'd be the closest place to ship it.
that'd just be the point, the delivery point.
So, anyway, so now it goes in a much weirder direction. Things start going really strange. If you thought it was strange up to this point, you are in for a shock. They continue to talk about a tribe that Mel associates with in Nevada, where he first got some of the special herbs that he uses that he was experimenting with. Which does sound a lot
Special
like
herbs.
marijuana, but he doesn't outright say what they are, even pressed by Art Bell. He will not say what these herbs are. He was contacted by the tribe via email to ask him to come and talk about his research to these herbs for the tribe. They had heard him through Coast to Coast AM, and he had gone, so he went there in 2001, and he asked them if they knew of the specific plant variety that grew near the hole. And because he'd given this speech on talking about what he had done and asked them, do you know where this plant variety that I found near this hole where I live is? Have you seen it around here? And so the tribe took him to another hole. That was their answer to that question, is there's another hole here we're going to take you to. What are the odds of a guy finding 2 bottomless pits in his lifetime? Like, aside from 2 divorces?
Well,
I don't know
shit.
what to tell you. Like,
I'm gonna be honest. But here's the thing: it's like the existence of random holes popping up has been happening a lot recently.
well, this isn't recent, though.
Like but I'm saying like there's in our recent time there's holes being found. Like even in China, there's one they found in the side of a mountain. There's the area inside of it is this cavernous area, and the mountain covers it. But when you go inside, it's fucking huge. It's the size of a city.
Yeah, well, you're talking about a cave. This is just a hole. This is a big tunnel.
This is a bottomless hole that goes to no.
This isn't a cave that you can
nothing.
walk in. This is straight down.
Yeah.
That's
Like if
weird.
if you
This is
fell
weird.
down it, you'd probably die.
Oh, if you landed.
Yeah, if you ever
I mean,
landed.
Well,
would you have a
so-
heart attack though too? Like if you
Well-
just kept falling,
Yeah, probably, actually, it does happen when you fall from high places sometimes. So
pressure would kill you eventually.
now we have another hole, but it's not on the tribal property. This particular property is held by a community of Basque in Nevada that moved there to raise sheep. The Basque are interesting people enough as it is genetically. A lot of weird thing with the Basque. They're cool people, but they have a lot of weird genetic anomalies that other people don't have.
Like what?
Like almost everyone that's Basque is Rh negative.
Really?
Mhm.
That's weird.
That's one of them, yeah. They have their own language that was developed. When I don't remember which, was it the Ottomans that attacked Spain?
Mhm.
They found the Basque and just left them alone. The Basque are known to be fearless, hard-headed, kind of like a more aggressive Spanishy Portuguese kind of guy.
What the hell are they doing in Nevada?
Well, they went there to raise sheep. They're all over the world, but they're in one region of like Spain. They're a different group of people.
Okay, yeah,
altogether.
no, I got you. No, never mind. They would have, yeah, okay.
So the tribe brought him to this location after okaying it with the Basque. And they brought some young Basque men with them to go to show. And they wanted to make sure that he wasn't a reporter or something. You know, they don't, are you not seeing it? We don't want people to be coming here. We're raising our sheep here. This place is special to both the tribe
What,
and the
they
Basque
Irish
people.
now?
Well, it's special to both the Basque and the tribal people. So they don't, once they prove who he is, I mean, the tribe knows who he is, but the Basque didn't know anything about him.
Oh, that's probably why the Ottoman left them alone. They probably just didn't give a shit about nothing. They were just like, whatever.
Oh, they'll just fight you. They don't care.
Oh.
So the tribe brought him to the location. He gets the okay with the Basque. They trust him. So now they led him to this pristine, out-of-the-way place, a place that was not touched by modern land and modern technology and shit, modern land, where you find a hole of the same dimension, 9 foot across, in diameter, but featuring a metal collar around it. And it seemed like a locking collar. So the Basque told him the hole had been there for longer than them, going back to the 1800s, and it is on land they don't even own, but they use it. So it's government land, but they just use it. The hole also seems to be solidly lined with the same same material of the collar as far down as the eye can see. The collar seems to be made for a docking mechanism of some kind, like you could hook something to the top of the hole,
Uh-huh.
and it would attach to the collar.
Is it Bigfoot or aliens?
I don't know, but we don't get into that because they don't know.
No.
The basket told him the hole had been there for a very long time. Blah blah. Docking mechanism. Mel dropped a wrench on the ledge of the metal, and it made zero noise.
Wait a minute. Okay, so he finds this giant hole that has a locking mechanism.
It looks like it could have a locking mechanism.
There could be an
It's
explanation for that.
taller with like things that you would lock things to. Is
Okay.
what he assumes it's for.
I doubt that hole's been there that long because
No, the basket been there for long, and they say it's been there the whole time since before they were there.
it just what it sounds like to me is similar to the when Russia and the United States started having competitions to drilling into the ground into the earth. It just sounds like because
Technology when this hole was found didn't exist.
I think both of those holes wound up having exactly the same thing happen. They basically collared them off and shut them down because they just couldn't go any further.
The Basque had been in this region that was not touched by people, aside from the Basque, and that hole has been there, exact same state that it's in, since before the 1800s.
That's weird. I'd like to see that.
Yeah.
Information on that one.
That's what they're saying. That's what the Basque said.
I mean,
So, Mel dropped a wrench on the edge of the metal, and it didn't make any noise, which makes no sense. And the Basque around there, when camping, they would even put their sleeping bags against it in the winter to stay warm, but it wasn't hot to the touch. So they would actually camp close to the ring of the hole, and it would keep them warm in their sleeping bags through the winter in Nevada. Nevada gets fucking cold in the winter,
yeah.
Yeah.
like super
The
cold, like
desert
you
gets
die.
very cold.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah,
Winter.
yeah.
Yeah.
Exposure.
100-degree weather in the daytime to below zero
yeah.
at night.
Yeah, it gets cold.
Commonly. So it would warm them, but it wasn't hot to the touch. So you touch it, you wouldn't feel like it was warm, but it would feel almost like there was like a static charge to it. The locals and natives all said that it was a spiritual site for them, for many of them.
So had the collar been there since they've been there?
Yeah, the whole thing nothing had touched it. It had been that way since they found it that way. They came across it that way. The Basque had been there since the 1800s. So, the Basque said they never lowered line or anything into it the way that Mel had in his hole, but the fear from the animals was around, and the black beam would also show out of this hole from time to time.
Yep.
So animals veered away from it, and there was a black beam that would also come out of this one, just like Mel's hole. He took a bunch of 7-Eleven ice bags as an experiment. He lowered one into the hole about 1,500 feet down on a winch, and he kept one bag outside of the hole. He wanted to compare the melt time and check the temperature of the ice that was in the hole versus the ice on the land when they pulled it up. And he had them both in buckets. When the ice on land was about halfway melted, so there's a puddle and melted ice, they pulled the ice up that was 1,500 feet down, and the ice wasn't melted at all. In fact, when Mel felt the ice, it felt like ice, except it wasn't cold at all, and it didn't melt in his hands. He then put the ice bucket over a cooking fire, because they're still camping in this area, and the ice caught fire.
What?
It's not impossible.
Literally impossible.
No, because chemical.
Ice doesn't
If you add chemicals
catch
to
fire.
ice, you can oil catch fire over water easily.
Yeah,
enough.
but oil also melts ice. This ice wasn't melted at all.
I mean,
Basically, the molecular structure of the ice changed,
that's weird.
but it kept its shape.
Okay, that's strange.
So they took it off right away, and the stuff in the bucket was still burning. Not with a flame, he said, but like a big flame, but it was more like the last flicker of the stove, he described it. So when you turn the stove off, a gas stove, you get that last flicker.
Mhm.
He said that's what it looked like, but continual. Almost like an alcohol flame is what I think what I imagine, that light blue color flame
So maybe
that
like
you almost
napalm?
can't see. Yeah, like a napalm burn or something like that. He then says the bucket still is burning 4 months later, the stuff that was still in the bucket. One man even took some of it home.
What?
That's what he says. One man even took some of it home and he kept it in his wood stove, and it's kept his house warm for months. This is apparently 4 months
It
before
never
the
went
phone call.
out?
Never went out. 4 months later, he's on this phone call, and that's when they put it in there, and he checked, and it was still burning. He repeated the experiment, and it had mixed results. Sometimes the ice would melt, and other times, like 1 in 3, the ice would change molecularly and would burn in this weird material. And he left all of that stuff with the Basque because they wanted to keep it there or whatever. So when he was asked if there was any markings around the collar, Mel said that there was none, and he even tried to make some. He took a hacksaw and was cutting at it, and he couldn't cut it and abrade it at all. So the collar was like super resistant to any damage.
I mean, what kind of great steel was he using for a hacksaw?
Well, it doesn't matter. A hacksaw's a hacksaw. You're cutting through metal is metal.
No, because the metals, depending on the density of each individual type
Well, you
of
still
metal.
leave a mark.
No.
I don't own a hacksaw that won't leave a mark on something.
You could drag stainless down iron, and or you could drag iron down stainless, no matter how sharp the iron is. It's not
A
gonna
hacksaw's
dent.
not going to be made of iron. It's going to be made of stainless steel.
No, but I'm just saying, depending on the grade, it won't even leave a mark or a scratch.
Well, maybe, but still. I mean, especially something that's been sitting there for over 100 years.
I went to school for it.
I know you
This
did.
is something I actually went to school for.
I know. This is one thing you actually know about.
This is the one time I can say I know that depending on what the metal is and the density of it, like it's a particular make, and if the hacksaw was cheap piece of shit, it may not even dent steel.
Yeah.
Like it may not even scratch stainless, depending on
But
what it is.
still, it's weird this thing's been sitting there for 100 years.
It is weird, yeah.
You know, this almost seems made up.
Well...
This
okay.
sounds made
Wait,
up.
Well, hold on.
Hold your skepticism.
Yeah, hold your skepticism. We're only, part 3 in. So they decided to...
Yeah, only.
One of the Basques wanted to be lowered in to the hole. And if you've ever met a Basque guy, 100% believe this. If this was a real thing, I can 100% see any Basque dude saying, I'll do it. Send me down. I don't care. Send me about 1,500 feet down. But after seeing what happened to the ice, they decided against it.
Yeah, I probably would.
It probably took the guy some coercing not to do it, is my guess. Because I've known a few Basque dudes, and all of them are super hard-headed and want to just get... They're not scared of nothing. So they decided to lower a sheep in instead, which Mel says he regrets. And he regretted doing it before they did it. So they led the sheep to the hole. And guys, I'm going to let you know, this gets incredibly weird. I don't do
not like
trigger warnings, but this gets a little gross and weird.
Okay, hold on.
Trigger warning.
Like, do I? Is this like a website kind of creepy, or like bad shit happens to sheep without foreign interference?
Just wait.
I don't really want to know what they do to the sheep.
So it's not like website that you have to look when no one's watching, but like bad. So they led the sheep to the hole, and the sheep lost its nuts. It went totally berserk. Lost its cool, freaking out, which prompted a Basque fella to take the sheep away from the hole. The sheep calmed down, and he knocked the sheep out. he hit it and stunned it. So she was like, shit. So they put the sheep in a basket or a box, like a crate, and they dragged it towards the edge of the hole. And the sheep was still alive, obviously, but it was like, whatever. Well, the sheep started to go to berserk the closer they got to the hole, and started to kick around and to lose its shit. And it was making noise until it got to the edge of the hole, and then there was no noise at all. There was still tons of movement from the box, but no noise at all from the box. They couldn't hear anything from the sheep.
It's not shocking.
Well, if you're standing this close to something, and now you're not hearing any noise, but you know there's movement.
I would say it's not shocking when you see animals with predators when they're cornered and they know they can't escape. They
go
basically
silent?
just shut the fuck down because they know it's about to
Yeah,
happen.
but they don't usually keep moving.
But they don't
if
keep
shut down.
moving. They-
And this sheep was flailing
Yeah.
about like an epileptic.
Oh, that's weird.
So the sheep went berserk. When they finally got the sheep to the edge, like I said, the sound stopped, but the movement continued. From the line, they could feel the sheep struggle as they lowered it down. So about halfway down the hole, there was no more struggle on the line. There was no more movement because you could feel the movement like a fishing line. And when they hit the end of the rope, they felt a vibration on the collar with a static electric feeling. So like the whole collar vibrated the static electric feeling. And they let the sheep down in the crate for like half an hour before bringing it back up. When they bring the crate up, they notice that there was no movement from the box. The box from the outside looked totally normal, again silent. And when they opened it, the sheep was stone dead.
Oh.
They removed it from the box and they laid it on the table so a Basque could dissect it. Externally, the sheep looked like he was perfectly conditioned, minus maybe a black eye from the guy hitting it. It just had, before going in the hole, minus all being dead. The inside of the sheep, on the other hand, was a whole nother story. The sheep looked like it had been cooked as they started to cut away into it. The organs had become like gel, and a huge tumor-like thing had formed as large as the entire length of the body cavity.
What?
One of the Basque takes the tumor out, and you could see the tumor had movement to it, like it was pulsating like a heartbeat. Inside the tumor, they opened it, and it appeared to be what they said looked like a fetal seal.
Fetal seal?
Like a fetal seal, like a baby fetus seal. A seal fetus.
Oh, okay.
Like 18 inches long, flipper appendages. It looked like humanish eyes, though. You know, seals have those black eyes.
Yeah.
This looked like it had human eyes.
Okay.
And it was moving, its eyes were moving, and it had some kind of umbilical cord thing hooking to the tumor substance thing. Mel said it seemed to be studying them. It then separated itself from the cord and the tumor and started moving about on the table, freaking everyone out, so they all backed up. And one of the Basque started suggesting to kill it, of course, but they didn't. The thing got to the edge of the table, and it looked like it was going to fall off. And at this point, everyone was freaked out, and they had backed the hell off the thing. But seeing it was in danger and of falling, Mel got closer to it to try to, like you would a baby on a table that you're playing with, you know. Why you keep babies on tables, don't ask. We just do it. But the thing was there, and Mel moved closer to it. And then the thing then started to look at Mel, and it seemed to be connecting with him in some unspoken way. Mel got the feeling to pick it up and set it on the ground. That's what he did. He picked it up and put it on the ground. And when he was going to wipe his hands off, before he did that, he passed his hands by his face. His hands were covered in the slime. And he moved his hands in the front of his face, and it smelled like ozone. Like that ozone smell.
What's ozone?
You're the welder. You want to explain what ozone smells like?
What?
The smell of ozone, like burnt off acetylene.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
It's hard to explain. What
It is hard to
ozone smells
explain.
like. You know, like the smell of aerosol when it's empty, but it still has some of the spray. Like an aerosol hairspray can, when it's out of the actual hairspray, but it still sprays.
Okay.
It's like the spray.
It's just a sharp smell. It's kind of like
It's kind of
like a thick,
almost
sharp
not
smell.
rancid, but
I can't really remember. Like honestly, it's been a long time since I welded.
yeah,
It's been a long time since I've been around any of that stuff.
it's a weird smell. So the thing started looking at them while it was on the ground, and they circled around it again. And it was like staring at them, and they were staring at it for like 2 hours, and it was like checking each one of them out, like just watching them, like it was studying them. Mel felt that the way the creature was looking at them was compassionate, and eventually the seal thing waddled toward the hole. Mel got the feeling it wanted to be on the collar. He got the same feeling, like take it off the table. Now he got the feeling he wanted to be up on the collar of the hole. And so Mel did. The creature hung out there for another hour, walking around, looking at them, and then nodded to itself and went into the hole. This occurrence left everyone drained and emotionally and physically. At this point, Art says, "Hey, this sounds totally unbelievable." This is the point where Art says, "Dude,
Sounds
you
fake.
sound like you're full of crap."
Yeah.
It doesn't sound real to me, bro.
It doesn't sound real. He didn't say it quite like that, but he says it sounds unbelievable. And he asks if there are photographs of any of this, and of course there aren't.
No, of course not.
Of course not. And Mel says he was worried about encroaching on what this was, you know, which is understandable considering what happened to him in the past. He didn't want to encroach upon the life of the Basque, you know, so he wasn't trying to go there for evidence. He was trying to go there to figure out what was going on because they dragged him there. So Mel says they ended up tossing the sheep carcass and the tumor back into the hole instead of burying it because they just felt like that's where it needed to go. Now, prior to going to Nevada, Mel was diagnosed with esophageal cancer, a very aggressive form of it. For those who don't know, esophageal cancer already has a super high mortality rate. Actually, my grandfather passed away from it, me and Jack's grandfather, and our dad actually had a bout with it, and he actually somehow survived it. Was not an easy go. But Mel, after this experience, was then checked again, and there was no sign whatsoever of cancer in his body, esophageal or otherwise, nor sign there ever had been. But they had the information from the prior diagnoses to prove that he had it, and that it was like, you have 6 months left kind of cancer. And now he was just cured. And he believes that seal thing was what cured him.
Wow.
Yeah. Now, before this, the Basque fella he was with, the Basque fellows were these young, goofy party guys, kind of out about the world. Hey, we're young, we're silly, we're goofing around, we're about to party, all that stuff. But afterwards, their whole world changed around them and they matured really quick. Their whole attitude, the way they acted changed, the way they were around other people changed. And upon speaking with an elderly Basque, Mel was told the older man would personally go there for a spiritual connection, but he couldn't relate anything like what they had seen. Yet at the same time, he didn't even seem surprised at all by the story these guys told him. He totally just took it in stride, like it totally makes sense that it would happen because it's so weird with this whole situation. Now, Mel at this point in time during the interview had said that he planned on going back to study it and hoped that it would make him a better person. Like, no more sacrificing sheep for curiosity's sake, he said. When asked by Art, Mel said he would only place the hole in northern Nevada. So he wouldn't tell him more specifically, he just said northern Nevada. But if he feels comfortable taking photographs, then Mel asked for help. Or Mel said he would take, if he feels comfortable, he'd take photographs and stuff next time of the hole and of the group of people with him and try to get some more evidence. But he at this point he puts up an email. He puts his email up and saying, "Hey, I just want help from anyone that may have encountered something like this that I haven't spoken to, someone that knows what this might be, someone that has any kind of information about anything like this. Please email me." And then he says he's going off the radar for a while, and he'll contact Art again when he returns back to civilization, as he refers to it. In finishing this call, Mel said the Basque man put something in Mel's hand and told him to put it away. Now, he had held it in his hand, clutched it for quite a while before looking at it, before one of the guy's sons said, "Hey, you should probably look at what's in your hand." And when he finally looked at it, it was a 1943 Roosevelt dime that the old Basque man had found in the same kind of coin purse around the other hole in Nevada. Mel said he was holding it in his hand, and he would send a picture to scan. He was holding it in his hand while he was interviewing with Art, and he would send a picture if he could scan it or take a picture of it. Mel makes one more call to Coast, and we'll check on that in part 4.
Wow.
What are your guys' thoughts on this so far?
It's nuts. Like
It's crazy and it sounds fake.
First off, like saying it's in northern Nevada, bro. Obviously the Basque are letting their sheep roam in one area. Sorry, if the Basque are letting their sheep roam in one area, all you gotta do is figure out what their sheep habits are in the first place, and then you can find the goddamn hole from there.
Okay, well, yeah, it's fine. And by now, I'm sure people have tried to figure and sort where it's at.
Yeah.
But at the point, he didn't want them to go through the same shit that he went through, which
Sure.
I do understand that mentality.
If they exist on land,
Well, this Mel,
bet someone knows about it.
this call from this Mel, we don't even know if this is really Mel at this point.
Yeah, this
Oh,
could
that's right,
be,
this is the one that
this
sounds-
could be anybody
Mm-hmm.
making up a story, you know?
He did say some things that Mel would have said, and he said some things that Mel hadn't said in the past from the other calls. But I mean, we have hours of these conversations of Mel and Art Bell going back, and you guys can go listen to them. They're on YouTube.
I would just say, like, I think the original whole thing, I don't think it's real. First off, I think
Well, news reporters have gone out there. There's something out there for sure. It was reported on national news
Yeah, but there's no pictures of it. Or
because they couldn't
anything.
get into it. There's a military facility there.
there's military.
They weren't allowed to go there. Yeah,
It's
at
like
the
Area
time.
51.
At the time the news crew went there,
Is
they
it
couldn't
now a
get to the
tourist
place.
attraction?
Well, now it is, but this might not even be the right Mel's hole on this map.
What was near a military base? Then you should know.
Not necessarily. I mean, the military base isn't on the map.
Well, where is the military base?
Why would the military base be on a map?
Because
Obvious.
all of them are.
Not satellite image for something that's top secret that does things like counter surveillance for the rest of the world.
How the hell
Was
did
it-
you know about it in the first place if they didn't want you to know about it? If they were trying to hide it, then you wouldn't
Well,
know
no,
it
you
existed.
know the military base is there. They don't want you looking at what's there though.
Yeah, so then it would still show up on a map. It's not like
No,
you're not hiding it.
they doctor the satellite image for sure. They wouldn't let you see everything at that facility, dude.
There are facilities in the United States.
Okay, but not that one. That particular facility houses something that they do not want people to know about. And it's not
No.
aliens, it's just straight up like counterintel. It's things like, it's a joint place between
It's
America,
government shit.
Australia.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's 5 different countries, the 5 eyes. I can't remember who all is. America, Britain, Australia, I think France and Canada.
There are government facilities that are top
think
secret.
France is
For
there.
instance, you can go to Colorado, where we
I
have
get
that
that.
big ass one. that I can't remember what it is,
I
but
understand, but this one is specifically for intelligence and counterintelligence against people spying on you.
you
They're
wanna
not
know-
going to show everything in a satellite image.
do you want to know where your spy operations are actually happening for the military and stuff like that? They're on top of Chinese markets and stuff like that. Do you know why? Because it's easy to say when they do stuff. Everybody knows for a fact that Area 51 has nothing. Area 51
It
has
has,
nothing.
it has stuff there, just not stuff we want to
There
see.
are stuff there, but I guarantee you, if you
There are
actually went
stuff?
to Area 51
stuff there.
and you wandered Area 51, the best you would get is probably a just aircraft that's being modified or being rigged to like just a test subject aircraft. that they create.
There's more top secret stuff than that out there.
But
for sure.
Area
They'll
51
shoot
isn't
you
even the
on
most
sight
interesting.
if you go there. Like
Yeah, they
they're
can.
protecting
Area
something.
51 isn't even the most interesting. There's a more
No,
secret
there's
air
other
base
ones.
in the middle of the city.
But we'll talk about that on another one. We'll talk
Anyway,
about
yeah.
Denver. But we have one more episode about this one. Is we're going to do
Wait,
part
what was
4. Is
that?
going to be the 5th phone call.
Well, I was gonna say like I had a point to what I was saying though.
Oh.
Was that if you're trying to hide something, the government's trying to hide something, it's not as hard as you think it is. You'll lose your keys in plain sight with the greatest of ease. The government doesn't actually let you see where they're holding stuff. What they do is they say, look at Area 51, look at the decky, look at the decky.
Oh, I know, I get
look at the
that.
decky." And then over
But
here,
my point is,
in a civilian location,
I understand what you're
guarantee
saying.
they're hiding
I'm not
shit.
disagreeing with you. What I'm saying is, in this particular base, they're going to cover shit up, not because they don't want you to know it's there. It's because they don't want people looking at what they have there.
well, that,
Everyone knows it's there. It's the National Guard trains there right now more than anything. You can go to their website. It's there. It tells you what's there.
I understand that, but what I'm saying is there's two things here though that's true. The real shit that they hide, that the really top secret stuff isn't going to be hidden.
No, I'm not saying anything there is super top secret. I'm saying it's stuff that they don't want people to see for a national security
Yeah.
thing. That's all.
But there's a lot of conspiracy theories on this stuff, and the truth is that the military doesn't need to hide stuff because you can't just go onto a military base.
If you want people to believe something about the military, put it on TikTok. They'll all believe you.
Oh yeah, tomorrow. What I'm saying is you can't just go onto a military base anyways. They could literally do whatever they want on those places. You don't know what's in there.
Yeah.
Because the truth is they don't have to be secretive. They just say you can't come here.
They're secret so that
And they
stuff
have
doesn't
guns.
get out.
So what are you
That's
going to do? Wander in? They can shoot you on sight. It's like that's the point. As I'm saying is they don't actually have to hide this stuff. People think that they got like all this secret stuff going on. It's like no, it's probably in those bases. It's just a matter of the only ones they probably really hide are going to be the ones in like it's not Denver, but there's one out by near one of not Fort Knox, but there's another
See,
fort.
The thing is, there's a lot of different things that you're not taking into account for different reasons. We can go into this another episode, though.
Yeah,
We're
this
just
is
rabbit trail
kinda-
way
We
too
should
far.
do a conspiracy about the military episode eventually, just to
This
talk
is
about
we
it.
can.
rabbit trailing.
No, that's going to be a
little
long
bit.
episode.
But
anyway,
it's more just saying that they don't need to hide stuff. That's what I'm saying. It's unnecessary.
I get you. But in this situation, especially, again, this is a different time than then. A lot of this happened prior to 9/11, and then some of it happened after 9/11.
Yeah.
So, I mean, things did change in America after
A lot,
September
yeah,
11th,
a lot.
2001. Things changed for a lot of us, present
Mm-hmm.
company included. Anyway, guys, thank you again for watching, and we look forward to the next part of this series. We will also be doing another show here pretty soon about something else. I'm Jay, and these are...
Katie?
The jealous of another man's hole, Jack.
Jealous of another man's hole.
I don't find random giant holes in the middle of my backyard.
I don't think it would increase the quality of your life. It didn't for Mel.
It,
Well, it did for a minute.
It did for a minute.
You just want that brief minute followed by a whole lifetime of shit.
I would just run away with that money, never say anything.
I know. The only thing that got him is coming back to the States.
I'd never come back. I'd be gone. You'd never see me again.
Anyway, guys, stay
Somewhere in
tuned.
Greece.
Please like, follow, share, subscribe, leave comments. Email us, vanishinggates@gmail.com, with your stories of the strange and the unexplained. Were you ever given a ghost a hand job, or vice versa? I meant that the other way around. Flip the switch on that one. Get a hand job by a ghost? You let us know. Anyway, thanks. Tell your friends, and we'll catch you on the next time. Don't forget to follow us on Facebook. And I don't know if we post anywhere else.
We both on
Really?
YouTube.
YouTube, Facebook.
Katie has a TikTok for us that doesn't get
I
used
haven't posted on there.
ever.
I need
But
to.
yeah, so Facebook, check us out there, give us a follow, and let us know that you're listening. All right, guys, good night, and as always, good nightmares.
Goodbye, everybody.
Bye.